Thank you very much, Rashi Saab, for the function. We are also expecting a principal of the college, Professor H.S., and they will be joining us after some time. But before that, they have given us the consent to go. Respected worthy Director, EMMRC, Dr. Shahid Rasool Majan, friend and colleague, Government Degree College for Women, Nawakadal, and today we are here with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indian higher education system is said to be one of the largest sectors in the world, with around 544 universities and 32,000 colleges. Despite of this, India is hardly able to register 16% of the gross enrollment ratio, as against 23% at global level. The Government of India, through the Ministry of Human Resource Development, is trying its best to enhance the gross enrollment ratio so as to bring it at least at par with the world average. Realizing the fact that the demand for higher education shall always surpass the given infrastructure, the University Grants Commission way back in 1984 had launched the countrywide classroom programs to experiment with the dissemination of education using some slot on national network of Doordarshan. This event gave rise to the establishment of CEIT-SIET Studio for production and transmission of school-oriented programs, initiation of the countrywide classroom of the UGC with CEC as the nodal agency by creating Educational Media Resource Centers, EMRCs, and Audiovisual Research Centers, AVRCs, which are now EMMRCs in several universities in different parts of the country. Educational Multimedia Research Centers are doing the production of educational programs, and Consortium for Educational Communication, CEC, is coordinating the whole activity. The CEC, together with its 22 UGC media centers, is now entrusted with the running of 24/7 Vyas Higher Education DTH channel and generating the e-contents for the courses taught at undergraduate level based on the syllabus approved by the UGC. Use of ICTs can break down some of the barriers that lead to underachievement. However, when one looks around in most of the colleges and universities across the country, lack of harnessing of this potential is visible. Diffusion of ICT in Indian universities and colleges would respond to the 21st century demands. Now I feel privileged to invite Dr. Salima Jan, research scientist of EMMRC, who has planned and packaged this orientation program, for formally welcoming the honorable guests and students.
As coordinator of this program, I am really privileged and delighted to welcome you all this morning. This moment really is a moment of happiness for all of us at EMMRC because we have already started this orientation program. As Tariq Saab said, that this orientation program is one of the series of orientation programs that EMMRC Srinagar is organizing in various colleges of the state. In fact, in all the colleges we had earlier planned, but in some of the colleges located in different districts of the state. The aim of these orientation programs are manifold, but to be more specific, I'll say, we want to make our students aware and orient them about different e-resources that are available for their benefit. But more specifically, I must say that as you all know, that the world is changing, and this world is now becoming really a wireless world. And our different systems have already changed. Like our economic system has already changed from, you can say, from barter system. Now we have, you can say, market-oriented economies. From interpersonal communication, because in earlier days, if somebody had a good news or if somebody bad news, the person had really to go and communicate interpersonally to deliver that message. Now you have cyber communications or now iClouds and all that. So how can education be an exception? Here I must say that education has already embraced this change because it is now we talk of e-banking, e-commerce, and other E's. But the word education itself starts with the letter E. So we can say this education had already embraced this change that we are seeing right now. So dear colleagues and dear students, through these orientation programs, we want to make you know how India, and particularly Indian higher education system, has done to keep pace, and what are the steps that they are taking to keep pace in these changing times. What steps India, particularly Indian higher education system, is taking to bridge the digital divide and to narrow down the gap that exists there between the privileged and the less privileged students. Above all, our aim is to build capacity. By capacity building, I mean to say that how can our teachers contribute by strengthening our efforts at EMMRC in making reliable and good quality content available to our dear students. You know that these days there's a huge material available on internet, but the question of authenticity is always a concern. So with your support, I mean with the support of the teachers, we at EMMRC will be able to make a good and reliable content for our students, and this is how our teachers can really strengthen our arms so that we are able to, so that our teachers can become a major player in making the mission, I mean the national mission for education through ICT, really a success. Now the question that everybody will ask is, why is there a need to have education through ICT? This is a question that everybody asks us. But here I would just, though there are many things, but here I would just like to quote one data. That is when Ministry of Information, MHRD Ministry quite recently, that is in 2012, issued certain data, and wherein Kapil Sibal had himself written that this time, out of 90 million college citizens, only 12% college students are able to attend colleges. And if India really wants to retain its current GDP levels, then another 14 million students should join colleges by 2014. Now you all know that we have paucity of teachers, we have problem of infrastructure or other things. What can be the best option other than this technology? I do not say that technology can replace the teacher, but this technology can really become a weapon in the hands of the teacher who can use it for the benefit of the students. Just a couple of months, I would like to quote here. I was at University of Mumbai, and Department of Education Technology is simply using social media. I mean, they have created wiki spaces where all students post their material, and it is the teacher who really looks after that, and they share it among the students, and this is how they have really made learning communities and how they are able to make themselves educated. It is just a free space, wiki space, everybody had created a space, and later on they also get marks depending on the amount of contribution that each student has done to that. So the question is, how we have to know how we can use this technology for the benefit of the education. As nowadays, I can say the social media, particularly Facebook, has really changed the pattern of, you can say, sociability, as well as you can say everything. It has changed as far as our young students are concerned. But they really have to see how they really have to change their attitude towards education also through this social media. So lastly, I must say that I welcome you all, always accompanied us to different colleges to make this. And I think the word thank my colleague who really came here and made all the arrangements, Rashid Saab and others. Thank you all, and I once again welcome you all.
For these words of encouragement and giving information. Now, today's program is to sensitize the teachers and students for using in many fields, and ICT is also one such field where he has of these e-resources. I will request Dr. Shahid Rasool to give his presentation, but before I call upon Dr. Shahid Rasool, a former US from University of Kashmir, and MS in Communication Technology from Center. Dr. Shahid Rasool has also served as in charge head of the Department of MERC for more than 3 years, Chairman Media Advisory Committee at University of Kashmir. He has produced and directed over 300 films, including 100 national award-winning films. He has also published 10 research papers in reputed journals and books. He has also written one book titled Education for National Level Agencies. Served as chief editor of twin publications, Media Times, and academic and professional bodies and consultative committees, including member on prestigious governing board of CCUGC. Organized and attended various academic workshop, training programs, film festivals, expert committee, international conferences. His area of interest are television and new communication keynote address, as well as the presentation on the theme. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. In being before you, before I formally start my presentation, I am reminded of the days when I was a student here in 82, 83, 84, 85. I am reminded of the professors who taught us, Professor Bali and Professor Mrs. Bali in zoology, Professor Mir, Shaukat Ahmad Mir, and Professor Shaukat Ahmad Shah in chemistry, Professor Mehrajuddin in chemistry, then Professor J.B. Singh and Professor Ahad in botany, and Professor Ramzan and Professor Raina, and my own uncle, Professor M.A. Lone in English. I am still able to hear the cries, the shouts, the voices that I heard, and I still remember sitting in this hall appearing in the exams, sometimes shivering in the cold and trying to fumble for the answers, the way I am fumbling right now, to start my presentation. And I am also reminded of those days when the college used to be full of activities, academic activities, and the seriousness with which our teachers will teach us. I hardly remember having missed classes at a stretch because attendance was something which was stressed upon, and students will always rush to the college to attend the classes. Unfortunately, things have changed. Having said that, I must express my gratitude to the college for collaborating with us for organizing this one-day orientation program here in this college, which is my alma mater. And I feel honored, as I said. I must also express my gratitude to the principal of Degree College Udi, Professor Sheikh Nazir Ahmed, who was also a teacher then here in Urdu. So, in a way, he is also my teacher. And I must also express my gratitude to Professor Bali, who unfortunately could not join us because of some personal problems, but I am told that he is joining us very soon. And Professor G.K. Lone, the principal of the Women's Degree College Boys, Baramulla, for having accepted our offer of being together here in this orientation program for the day. And I'm also thankful to my colleagues, the faculty members at Baramulla Boys College, Baramulla Women's College, and then the faculty from the Udi College. And I'm in fact more delighted also to see Chalku Sahab here. In fact, with Professor Chalku and Professor Zafar Sahab, we have an association of trying to fumble with the technology and packaging knowledge for the use of the students. And last but not the least, I am overwhelmed by the presence of the digital natives, my references to the students who are in good number here from 3 colleges. So I welcome you all and I feel honored by your presence. Mr. Tariq Abdullah and Dr. Salima Jan have initiated the discussion on why this orientation program is required and why there is a need of the series of orientation programs in different colleges. And I, in my presentation, will try to take you through all these requirements. One thing that's very important is, as I said, that we are at an interesting time. We are living at a time when we have 2 different groups of people living together simultaneously. In this hall or in this college, we have the faculty members who are still shy of using technology. We are living at a time when we have the people who teach in colleges and higher secondaries and the schools who are new to technology, and we refer to them as digital migrants. But then we have a huge crop of students, young teachers, who are very comfortable with technology. So 2 sets of people are living together. So it's an interesting time for us. On one side, there is a lot of pressure on the teachers from the students' side in terms of their know-how of the technology. And on the other hand, there are willing teachers who are fumbling with the technology, trying to pick up the threads, and then using the technology for the benefit of the students. So, why virtual teaching and learning is required is because it helps us to equalize educational opportunities, and that is the presentation which I am going to take you through. Friends, we are given to understand that the future global economy will be predominantly knowledge-based. We heard about green revolution, we heard about industrial revolution, we heard about white revolution and whatnot. But somehow this part of the globe missed these revolutions and we were left behind. Now there is another revolution that's going to take place, and that's on the anvil. That is the knowledge-based economy, which is going to be the future of the world. They say that the gross domestic product of a country will now be determined by the level of information, education, and level of knowledge of its citizens. That's probably why there is stress on the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, which will be considered as an important indicator of development and prospects of a nation. If you have higher the number, then there is a better prospect of that country. Higher the number, higher the gross enrollment ratio of a country, then better will be the prospects of that country to make the best of the knowledge economy. If that is the case, then India should be nicely placed. If the number game is there, then India has the better chances of becoming a global, power. Because India has 1 billion plus population, 1.22 billion at present, and 66%, that's 808 million, are below the age of 35. And 40% of the Indian population is aged between 13 to 35 years. Today, when we see that the West is aging, the India's strength must lie in its young population, 40% of whom are in 13 to 35 years. And all of you, or some of you, must have already heard that APJ Abdul Kalam, in his book, India 2020, A Vision for the New Millennium, has predicted that India will be a superpower by 2020. When he said superpower, he probably meant knowledge superpower. And he advocates that Indians at all skill levels can excel in knowledge-based services if given the right training and are placed in intellectually challenging environment. And this has been demonstrated by Indians across the globe. Wherever they go, they excel. But why is it that in India they don't excel? Abul Kalam bases his hypothesis on this fact that Indians can excel if they are given the right opportunity and right training in India, wherever they are. But when we see the opportunities, they are restricted to the people in IITs and IIMs, and how many we have? Hardly 10 to 12 IITs, and hardly few IIMs worth their name. If that is the scenario, and plus maybe you can add some good universities, none of Indian universities figures in the top 200, which is a known fact. But we definitely do have some good universities. And very few students of India make it to these institutions. If that is the case, then how is India going to translate its population to its economic advantage? That's not going to happen. So Kalam says that we have a challenge to find ways to train ordinary Indian students, engineers and scientists. That is the challenge. And the possibility he finds in judicious use of technology for teaching training of ordinary Indians across the country, irrespective of their geographical location. Whether they are in Uri or in Gurez or in Srinagar or in Delhi or in Mumbai, all students must have the access to education, access to good training programs. So we can comfortably say that future of any country depends on quality and quantity of education offered to our youth. But advantage of numbers in India, as I said, is not translating to its economic advantage because our facilities are limited and very few students make it to the good institutions. We in Kashmir are slightly fortunate that whosoever comes to Baramulla Degree College and gets an admission. In Srinagar also, whosoever wants to go to some college, they go to those colleges and find admission. Delhi, it's slightly different. The cutoff point in Delhi colleges is 100%. Even 99.9% student with a 99.9% percentage of marks is not able to find admission in Delhi colleges. So we have restricted facilities, we have limited facilities available for our students. As Tariq Abdullah already said, when we look at Indian higher education system, it has a huge superstructure, around 600 universities, around 32,000 colleges, and 14.6 million students, over 500,000 teachers. That means 5 lakh teachers. And in today's date, as per MHRD's own statistics, there is a dearth of 3 lakh teachers in India in higher education, the vacancies. And having this huge superstructure, Indian gross enrollment ratio as per MHRD is 18%, and Tariq Abdullah said 16%, and someone else said 13.8%. It's somewhere around 13 to 15%. In developed countries, it's 54.6%, and USA it is 60%. Developing countries even have 36.5%, and even BRICS nations where India rubs shoulders, it's 21%. So we can imagine, with such a huge superstructure for higher education, our performance in higher education is dismal because our gross enrollment ratio is not going beyond 18% as per official figures. And now they say we have a target of 30% GER by 2020. That means 40 million more students need to be enrolled, and infrastructure creation may not be a problem. Making buildings may not be a problem. Buying equipment may not be a problem. But the problem is the additional faculty. Even in a college like Baramulla, where I was a student, it's a very old college. It has its own history. Even this college has experienced dearth of the teachers. When I was a student, we had 3 teachers who were teaching us chemistry. Organic chemistry, 1 teacher, inorganic chemistry, 1 teacher, and then the physical chemistry, 1 teacher. In today's date, I don't know if you have 3 teachers in chemistry. Even if you have 3 teachers in chemistry, I think this time the chemistry subject requires more than 3 teachers, because this is the time of specialization. Even if you have teachers in every subject, but do you have teachers in every specialization? That is the question. So, creating infrastructure, making buildings, buying equipment may not be a problem for India, but finding those right teachers, those specialists who are needed, that's the problem. So, if that is a problem, then what is the panacea? What's the answer to that problem? That's what I am going to, go in my presentation and tell you how we can overcome those problems. Another problem, that good quality education. This has created another problem. This has created a disparity between rich and poor, because rich can afford to send their students outside. They can afford to find best institutions for their students in private sector. This has created disparity between rural, semi-urban and urban areas. Across classes and castes, it is not that much relevant in our case, because fortunately we don't have that caste-based rigid system here. Outside Kashmir, definitely you have problems of castes also, because a particular caste person cannot go to the college of the other caste. These are being experienced. It may not be written in any book or any statute, but nonetheless the practice is like that. Then we have across genders, and in our case, this is to a great extent relevant, because we allow our daughters to go to education to the nearby institutions, whereas we can send our sons for education anywhere. So this has resulted what we call educational haves and have-nots. On one side, you have the dearth of good institutions, you have the dearth of specialist teachers to teach in this competitive world. On the other hand, you have created 2 different sets of people. One group of people who have access to the best quality education, and another group of people who don't have access to the good quality of education. And as I said earlier, as Abdul Kalam has said, that judicious use of technology is required. And we see the hope in the 21st century, which gives us access to education irrespective of its borders. And we say this is the age of seamless education. It doesn't recognize borders. Access to education, to quality education, is possible independent of geography, age, gender, time and space. Technology is removing the disparity between East and the West, rich and the poor, male and the female, and also across castes and classes. Why I say so? The technology transfer is so fast now that if today an iPhone 5S has been launched in USA, some of the people in Srinagar also have this available. Technology has made the earth flat, making boundaries and frontiers of countries irrelevant, and creating equal opportunities of profit making for all, and opportunities that alone shall determine the profit that one can make. He visited Bangalore, and when he saw Nandan Nilekani, the person who is presently in charge of this, what you call the Aadhaar scheme, when he went to his conference room, and when he asked Nandan Nilekani, why are these 12 clocks here? One clock was showing time for Paris, other clock was showing time for Sydney, third clock was showing time for... We are doing the, we are the service providers for most of your industries at the heart of the global economy. This time we see that in Mumbai, in Chennai, in metropolitan, because it works out cheaper for the institutions in USA to engage teachers from India. And technology has made this has gone flat. Having said that, ideally best education takes place, but then if you have the numbers are huge and teachers are limited, how do you do it? You are again dependent on the technology. To reach vision has earned a nickname Idiot Books for itself. There are students of mass. When we watch television, we mostly see idiocy. Saas Bahu ka drama, Wahid Jilani ke songs, Arnav Goswami. That's what we use television for. Mostly television is used for entertainment because it's not an engaging medium. It relaxes you. So we use it for entertainment, endless entertainment, and to some extent found that the learning outcomes from experiment, Comstocks, PAX experiments, it has been found in the classroom. But it depends on, then you are not, the education is not taking place. But that happens in the class. If I watch educational programs on television with seriousness, the learning outcomes will be at par with the classroom. There was one drawback with teleteaching, because it was not interactive. This is countrywide classroom on television. In fact, that is the beginning of these AVRCs and EMRCs and what we call now EMMRCs. Program was telecast. Kisne they fight to find an answer. Nonetheless, some education was taking place. But in today's day, television has become more interactive. Technology has made it possible that you can interact simultaneously with the teacher, with the help of the SMSs, with the because it has become now, very easy to call and be meaningful. And what prompts me to say all this is that we can see easy availability and affordability of electronic. Madam referred to the Facebook, social media. Some people call it fake book. People trash it. Like television was trashed at one time. Similarly, when the social media arrived, it became a sort of, and my another student here, when I was head of the Department of Mass Communication, I noticed that the students, I made all of them my Facebook friends. And I will put the notice now on the Facebook. And there is 100% reception. Every student gets the message instantaneously around, and it can be made use of. That's another dimension. We had the problem of bandwidth, because I remember a time in 98, 99 when I came possible in the real time. And as a result of this convergence, my dear students in the back, please. Am I boring? Convergence has resulted in, especially in the research areas, who are working together. They may not have even met. They try to search for each other on the internet. And if you remember 2 years back, the Nobel Prize for Chemistry, very rare opportunity of meeting each other. It does not recognize borders, no LOCs, no international borders. It does not recognize time, and it does not recognize even disciplines. People from botany and chemistry. The change is also experienced by the students. Professor Nazir Sahab was telling me before coming here that students are Bali Sahab or Rana Sahab in the class to give us some notes so that we can make our own notes and then we can pass the exams. In today's date, the material is readily available. It's only a matter of searching for that material. I'll pass on this one. The result is that today's teacher, I included, is no longer a guide by the side. That's how we, the teachers, have to evolve. He can Google anything and find answers on Alexander the Great, that he invaded India on this date, and then so and so. But when we look at our own educational system at present, you see, when we talk about the global learning community, I am talking about the global scenario that's there. But when we see our own education and our examination pattern is such that our stress is more on memorization. If the student is good at memorizing, all the 5 will come, he will get 70-80% marks. But no matter how good student. So ladies and gentlemen, I am thankful to Professor Bali for joining us in this presentation. We have changed a little bit. We again say do 5 questions, but we say stress is not on the education. And student has adopted the new mode of learning. So we, the teachers, have, as I said, that we are in interesting times of digital natives, and we, the digital migrants, have to learn to pick up the technology so that we remain useful to our students. And again, we address that access to students outside our classroom. Really, the best teaching takes place when the teacher and the taught are put together. But that cannot happen in our case. So what can happen is the teacher can make technology, use of technology, remain relevant to himself. Now, what do we use this YouTube for? Again, like Facebook, YouTube is condemned. It's a very bad place. It's only, that are uploaded by the people. There is a small problem in Baramulla, and that's uploaded on the YouTube because it's a free to air, site. But then YouTube has an exciting source of
pharynx by the tongue. Food in the pharynx stimulates the swallowing reflex. The larynx is straight upward to meet the blood and seal off trachea. Food goes from the pharynx to the esophagus. Food moves down the esophagus by peristalsis. The peristaltic way reaches the esophageal sphincter and food enters the stomach. The unique muscular structure of the stomach breaks up the food into small pieces called chyme. Chyme exits through the pyloric sphincter into the duodenum of the small intestine. The major portion of absorption and digestion occurs in the small intestine. The mucosa secrete enzymes that supplement the digestive enzymes of the pancreas and liver. This completes the chemical process of digestion. The walls are covered with villi where nutrient absorption takes place. The structure of each villus contains a capillary and lacteal to pick up the digestive nutrients.
So this is one example of YouTube. Vyas is already, I said, it's available on the Dish TV at 773 channel number. So those of you who are Dish TV at home, I request you to any educational television channel, be that Vyas or any other channel, seriously for 5 days, and I am sure it is going to change your life. And it is going to change your attitude towards television, and you will no longer call television an idiot box. Again, we have what we call, and in fact, Degree College Boys Baramulla is one of the colleges in Kashmir Valley, which is on the national beam. When we cry about the dearth of teachers, there is a possibility of making use of this EduSat regional beam, at least for the colleges of the valley. But unfortunately, that is not happening. At one particular time at EMR Srinagar, we realized that some of our university departments do not have specialist teachers available in their subjects. Like in Hindi department, we had a single teacher or 2 teachers. They wanted some lectures from some teachers who were in Indore. We contacted the teachers in Indore. They went to the Indore virtual classroom and delivered lectures for our Hindi students. Same we did for psychology. Same we did for commerce. So you will have the advantage of listening to the teachers from across the country, as well as also creating some sort of networking in education. Zafar Sahab, Shadad Sahab, Chalku Sahab, and many other teachers who were involved in production of programs or development of e-content with EMRC are already liberated from the classroom. They are now available to students outside their colleges also. So we request you to join us, all the teachers, to package knowledge, which has already begun, and we encourage students to make use of these resources that are available online. One question that has always been asked, why do we need to package knowledge with the help of Zafar Sahab or Chalku Sahab or others when everything is available on internet? Because as I also said, then when you need some material, you can Google it out. And on every topic, on every subject, on every idea, you have thousands and thousands of pages or videos or audios available on the internet. Then why should we package the knowledge? The reason for packaging knowledge with the help of the teachers is, number one, the authenticity. Because as my teacher used to say, that internet is garbage in and garbage out. We believe that Wikipedia is the source of information for everything. But then what is Wikipedia? Wikipedia is an open resource. I can put anything on Wikipedia. Then someone else may come and correct my write-up. He may add, make it more beautiful. He may even distort it. So Wikipedia is also not an authentic source of information. When we talk about the availability of information on internet, a good student will probably make it out, whether the material is good, whether it is usable, whether it is authentic. When we come to the average student like me, it's very difficult to find out whether this information that I have downloaded from the internet is authentic or not. That's where the role of the teacher comes in. Then to what extent is it reliable? When we know that a university teacher or a college teacher, when we know that this material has gone through peer review, it has been written by someone, it has been vetted by someone, then it has been previewed at 3 or 4 different levels, that gives my students some sort of a reliability and authenticity certificate that this is the reliable and authentic material that's available. Second is the localized content. I often give this example. I will conclude my presentation with what Toffler said in the 70s, that homes in modern age shall turn into electronic cottages and people will move electronically than physically. The experts of knowledge also shall commute huge distances virtually. That's what's happening today. And that's what is going to help us to become a knowledge superpower. That's what's going to help us to create equal opportunities for students across the country, irrespective of their geographical locations. So with these words, I thank you all to this presentation. And there must still be some questions, so I again take advantage of the technology. My email ID is very simple, shahid@emrckashmir.com. Those of you who want to be in touch and those who want.
This principal of the college has some urgent and emergency work he has to leave. I request Dr. Zafar Shahadar to give his observations on the occasion.
And students, I'm highly glad to have such a beautiful program in our college where my students were sensitized about the information and dissemination of information, which is the concern of the time. As we have a lot of information available on internet, on our portals, but the screening and providing exact and true information to students where they lack the facilities of good teachers, good infrastructures, where we can disseminate information to far-flung areas, where human resources are scarce, we can provide them resource for their education, for their prosperity, and for the development of our nation. As we all know that EMRC Kashmir has taken the initiative of providing this opportunity to our students, where they assemble knowledge with the help of their experts, disseminate it to the students which are not in a position to get it available at their destinies. They can get benefit from this information with the help of these virtual learning programs. And I'm very much thankful to Shahid sir for organizing such an orientation program over here, in which our students from Government Degree College Odi, Government Women's College Baramulla, and our students of this college got sensitized about the way how the information is being developed, is decimated, and is being made to available for the students which cannot have access of good resources. I, on behalf of my college, on behalf of Principal Govind Degree College, Baramulla, once again am very thankful to the EMRC team for their such a nice program in which we all benefited. We tried to provide them support. Our college has always come forward for any such opportunity to grab, which is for the benefit of our students. Our college is in a routine matter conducting many programs, but I think today's program was really very much relevant because it was our concern that our information should reach to those students which no doubt can use Facebooks, but they cannot use how to make the resources available, how to make good use of their information, where from they get the good information. I once again thankful to MRC team for such a beautiful orientation workshop. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Professor Shahid Rasool Sahab, Director EMMRC, University of Kashmir. Dr. Salima, Research Associate in the department. Mr. Tariq Abdullah of EMORC, Dr. Zafar Shahadad Sahab, respected faculty members of Degree College, Baramulla, and students. The association with Professor Shahid Rasool in this institution and other places has always been a delightful experience, as he's such a learned person and he's always able to translate his experiences and informations in very delightful manner to the students. And I know his team is the crown of University of Kashmir, and this EMMRC has brought the Kashmir University on national map, and Kashmir University is recognized throughout the country because of EMMRC as an institute of excellence, because it has produced very valuable contribution throughout the country, especially the contribution which is Kashmir-centric. When I was a faculty member of this institution, we were greatly indebted to this Shahid Rasool Sahab in the development of the Department of Mass Communication and Video Production, which later on was turned into Department of Multimedia Production. And whatever material we could purchase that time, we were highly helped and provided by every type of assistance, be it the development of studio, the purchase of material, cameras, and all other things by Professor Shahid Rasool. So our association in this institution with Professor Saab has always been very respectful, and we value his association always. In fact, when I was a student of this institution, we had a great teacher, namely Professor S.K. Shah. He was our education teacher those days. And this idea struck me in my classroom that time, that when we use, because television was not as yet, that is I talk of 1978 and prior to that era. Television was not so popular, rather it was not available in Kashmir those days. Maybe it would have been around in Delhi or other metropolitan cities. But he would often tell us that audio-visual learning is always more impressive, and it is more important because student has three senses. It gets student involved from three senses. That is audio and visual, and the presence of the student in the classroom. If the teachers are available to take advantage of this technology, they should, and that will make their teaching very effective. So whenever we talk of this material, I think this has been introduced to our educational systems a bit late. And now our television is coming of some age and it is maturing day by day. I think this must be the culmination of the technology, wherein our society is linked with the knowledge which is being produced at different levels and different institutions. As a student, I have always tried to get whatever I can in the field of, though I am a student of literature. But I have always cherished to get information from sciences, whatever I can. And your principal at this institution, Professor Irshad, he is that way my teacher also. Whatever scientific knowledge I have, though it is always very little, he has been a guide, he has been a teacher in scientific realm of the knowledge. And I, in my own humble manner, have also taught him some bits of literature also, and poetry especially. I have been a student of, indirect student of the father of our respected Muhammad Abdullah Khawar Sahab, Tariq Abdullah Sahab. He has been my guide when I was in the Iqbal Institute of Kashmir University. So, in my humble manner, as principal of Government Degree College, Udi, I am trying to provide every possible equipment which is latest available in the field. And recently we got two very costly television sets installed in our institution. Of course, for only this purpose, so that our students have access to those channels which provide education and educational channels. And particularly, I have one set in my office also, only for the purpose so that I could listen to mushairas and etc. and etc. So this, as Professor Shahid Rasool very lucidly has elaborated here, that the knowledge society, knowledge is becoming the power, and it will determine the future of the societies in the coming years to come. Our students have to be motivated first to be good learners. It can be in the institution, directly with the teachers when we in a lecture method, and indirectly when we use the technology which is available to us at our home places or everywhere wherever it is available. Our teachers, I know of certain colleges which have latest gadgetry available with them, but the teachers themselves are not motivated to use that gadgetry for their benefit and the benefit of the students. In fact, I believe that this technology has made the teacher's job easy, because he can get support of every type of animations those are available through Facebook, through YouTube, or other educational channels. But unfortunately, as I have some knowledge of some private institutions also, though the facilities being at place in those institutions, but the teachers are not motivated enough to guide the students or use that technology for an impressive communication in education in their particular subject. So the first thing for a learner is motivation. A student has to be motivated. A teacher has to be motivated. As Professor Shahid Rasool has said, that now the teacher's role has been redefined. Teacher has to be there, but the teacher has to be there in a different role. He has to be a facilitator. He has to be a guide. He has to be a friend. The knowledge is sometimes with the student, but the teacher is not able to guide the student properly, and he is not able to elucidate the information which is already with the student. Recently, I got a call from an unknown agency that you need some material in e-content for your children. I told them how much would it cost me. They told some 5,500 rupees. I had no problem to purchase that CD or whatever that content was. So I began to think that the teacher is now boundaryless. He can produce knowledge while being in a studio and sell the knowledge from that particular person. But unfortunately, we in Kashmir, our very good teachers get wasted, their experiences, their knowledge, their time in tuition centers. But some of our teachers, like Professor Zafar Shahadat and other teachers, have been using their time very judiciously, and they have developed some, I know certain teachers, they have developed some e-content. And this is the field in which our teachers should concentrate. تو آخر میں ایک بات میں اپنے بچے جو میرے اوڈی کے ہیں ان کے بارے میں کہنا چاہوں گا کہ ہمارے بچوں کو ابھی اس طرح کی چیزوں کی ایکسیس نہیں ہے، لیکن ایک چیز میں ہم کامیاب ہو گئے ہیں پورے اسٹیٹ میں کہ ہم نے ایک کمپیوٹر کورس انٹروڈیوس کرا دیا ہے فار سائنس اسٹوڈنٹس ایز ویل ایز فار ہیومینٹیز اسٹوڈنٹس. یعنی اس کے پیچھے آئیڈیا یہ تھا کہ کم از کم ہمارے اسٹوڈنٹس اس حد تک اسکلڈ ہوں کہ وہ آسانی سے کالج سے فارغ ہونے کے بعد یا کالج کے دوران کہ اس طرح کی جو سکیمز ہیں یا مطلب اس طرح کی جو ٹرانزیکشنز ہیں، جیسے آپ دیکھتے ہیں بینکنگ میں یا BSNL ادر تھنگس، سارے اس میں اب ٹرانزیکشنز جو ہوتے ہیں فائنانشیل ٹرانزیکشنز وہ بھی اب اس کی وجہ سے ہوتی ہیں، انٹرنیٹ وغیرہ کی وجہ سے. تو یہ پروگرام اب پچھلے 2 سال سے چل رہا ہے کالجز میں، اور مجھے یقین ہے کہ اس طرح کے پروگرامز کے لیے ایجوکیشنل ٹی وی کے لیے یا ایجوکیشنل کنٹینٹ کے لیے وہ پروگرام جو ہے بہت آگے جا کے بہت فائدہ مند ہوگا. اور میں سبھی بچوں سے خصوصاً اوڑی کے ہمارے بچے جو ہیں ان سے کہنا چاہوں گا کہ آپ کی جو دوری ہے، یعنی سری نگر سے جو دوری ہے یا جو ہمارے نالج سینٹرز ہیں ان سے جو دوری ہے، وہ کسی صورت میں بھی آپ کی پرفارمنس میں صدرا نہیں ہونی چاہیے. یعنی اب جو ہم تک ہو سکتا ہے ہمارے ہاتھ سے ہو سکتا ہے ویسے تھے کالج کے ایڈمنسٹریٹرز کے. آپ ہم سے کہہ دیجئے کہ آپ کو کس طرح کی فیسلٹی چاہیے، کس طرح کا کنٹینٹ چاہیے. اور اوڈی میں مجھے نہیں لگتا ہے کہ ہمیں کسی چیز کی کمی ہے کہ جو ہمیں کسی چیز سے روک پائے یا کسی چیز سے دور کر پائے. لیکن صرف مسئلہ یہ ہے کہ آپ کے اندر اگر اچھا ہے، اگر آپ کے اندر خواہش ہے کہ آپ بہتر اسٹوڈنٹ بننے کی کوشش کریں.
The wheels start rolling weeks ago. It requires planning and a bird's eye for details. By your presence, we have been given a hope of organizing such type of programs in this college in future also. You have renewed our determination that we are going in the right direction. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for all well-wishers who have helped and cooperated with us in organizing this program. We are highly thankful to worthy Vice Chancellor Professor Talat Ahmed for encouraging us to organize such type of activities in different districts of the state. We are highly thankful to Director Consortium for Educational Communication CC New Delhi, Professor Rajbir Singh, who in fact has given this idea of introducing media centers to different colleges to make best use of the work done by them. We are highly thankful to respected Professor H.S. Bali, Principal Government Degree College Boys, Baramulla, for his cooperation in the organization of this event. He, by gracing here for a few minutes, has really encouraged us, although he had some serious problem. We are highly thankful to Commissioner Secretary Higher Education, Mr. Sheikh Mushtaq Ahmed, for encouraging us to organize these programs at various degree colleges. We are highly thankful to Professor Sheikh Nazir Ahmed for presiding over this function and providing all sort of help and love, affection, cooperation right from the day when I called him. And since then I'm in touch with him, and he has shown his love, and that has given me a strength that we can organize this program successfully. And inshallah in Udi next year we will come there, sir, with the same purpose. I am highly thankful to Professor G.Q. Lone, Principal Government Degree College, for his affection and support. Because of some examinations on in the college, the Principal Saab has not come here, so he has, by sending his faculty and students, we are encouraged. I am highly thankful to my director, Dr. Shahid Rasool, who is always giving us the right direction in organizing such events. It's under his leadership that our center has become one of the best centers at the national level. And he is continuously making its mark and taking leads in all the directions. No program can become successful unless it's not properly planned and packaged. Certainly, I will be failing in my duties if I don't express my gratitude and sincere thanks to Dr. Salima Jan, research scientist MMRC, who has made our job very easy by designing this program creatively. I am thankful to Professor Zafar Shadad for his active support and coordination. His dedicated approach has made my job very easy. I am highly thankful to all the guests, faculty members of all the 3 colleges, and supporting staff of the host college for their unconditional support. I am highly thankful to NSS volunteers of this college and students of media studies especially for their help and cooperation. I am thankful to my colleague, Engineer Abdul Rashid, for his technical support. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues who know their job and are result-oriented. I cannot thank everyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. I'm thankful to all MMRC colleagues. Last but not the least, I'm highly thankful to all dear students who have shown their interest, and by their presence, we have increased the value of this program many folds.